This is the Poddy with Serene
and Pearl.
Get it right, Poddy.
No Danny, so we're introing here ourselves.
You don't say, hey, little birds, things like that.
Come in here, little birds. Come on. The Poddy is here. I bombed. But don't worry about my bomb because we have KJ here with us, and that's enough on its own, right?
Yes.
Coach KJ.
If we ain't funny, she sure is.
Yeah. No pressure. You are back for number 2.
I am. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay. We needed another 2 because it's been, a few months since you've been here. Your first Poddy with us was really impactful. We heard from so many of our mamas just loving it. Though your authenticity is what connects with people. Mm-hmm. Your ability to be honest is so needed. And I think, you connect. And so we just want to hear about what's kind of going on in your life since the last time you were here.
Yeah. So I've grown a lot in this last year. I talked about why I stay on plan last time.
Can we do, in case somebody was not here for part 1, can we do like little 2-minute refresher of your story?
I mean, yes, I need a refresher.
But okay, no pressure to put it in 2 minutes.
No, I just need a, again,
Yeah, so grew up overweight, been overweight my entire life, struggled diet after diet after diet, and it wasn't because the diets were necessarily unsuccessful. It's because I just could not stick to it. I couldn't. It was food addiction. Food addiction through and through. Mm-hmm. Absolute food addiction. On again, off again, diet on, just raring to go on Monday, and by Thursday night, completely off the rails, planning to start again Monday. It was just my cycle, my whole life. And it wasn't until I came back a second time in my life to Trim Healthy and made a post, kind of a cry for help that I didn't really realize was a cry for help. It was just kind of a here we go again post. Mm-hmm. And it kind of took off, and people came around me and supported me and encouraged me, and that changed my entire trajectory. It changed my whole life.
You think it was the support, or you were just ready finally?
It was the support.
Yeah. So you weren't even ready. You were the same.
I know I wasn't.
Oh.
No. It was women that related to my post. They were like, oh, that's me too. Well, if I try, will you try? And I said, sure, let's try together. Messaging back and forth privately with some girls, just kind of encouraging each other until we became best friends now.
I never saw that post. Was it a desperate post, or was it a post that was still seeing the humor in your, cycle of constant rehashing?
I think it was a little bit of both, but I took just a selfie of myself, and I was kind of leaning on I wasn't smiling. I just took a selfie, and I look back at it now, and it's really hard to look at because I was very broken, and I can see it in my eyes when I look back. Literally my eyes are a different color. I was very sick looking, unhealthy, very inflamed and unhappy, and just depressed. I never really claimed that I was going through a depression, but if I look back at it now, I kind of think that was part of it. I needed somebody to come along and say, you can do this, but push me to do it and keep reminding me, and not just, it wasn't just a one day, hey, you can do this. It was a continual encouragement and prayer. And I think that was the key. And that's where I've grown a lot over this last year. So I never have claimed to like exercise, and I don't still to this day claim to. I would love to come back next year and say, I love exercise, but I don't see it happening, to be perfectly honest. So
I have hope for you.
I'm still not there yet, but I love the results.
Yes. I would love them too. If I can, still a challenge. Was still a work in progress there, but I started treadmill devotions, which was reading the Bible every single morning on the treadmill live.
Wow.
And that it was the exercise was great, but the word is what changed everything for me. It was just reading a section in the Bible every single day. A lot of it didn't mean a lot to me. A lot of it was just reading to read. I wasn't necessarily absorbing a lot or connecting with the message. I was just reading, and God's word does not return void. And I now really understand that.
Wow.
So now my journey, even though I still help.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to sidetrack it, but it's so powerful because we're spirit man.
Yeah.
You know, and things connect to our spirit even if our mind's not involved
Yes.
sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. And my coaching, when I started coaching, I coached how to stay on plan 100%. And I still do that. I still stay on plan 100%, and I still help women get to the point where they can stay on plan 100%. Not for the rules of it, not for the restriction, not for the deprivation, because there's none of that. It's because it's so much easier to stay on plan than it is to go on again and off again. It's just so much simpler to stay on plan. But now I see, for me, the way that I got there was a spiritual journey, not just a journey with getting sugar out of my system. It was that too, but it was the spiritual journey. And over this last year, I've gotten more and more into Bible study, and my teaching has gotten more and more about making your food choices a form of worship.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how my brain has been bent towards it my whole life, because of that scripture that I just loved just from a child. You know, I set you before you life and death, choose life so that you and your children may live. And I just kind of saw just how decaying the diet of our modern diet was, and how people were actually choosing death.
Well, KJ, then, I mean, you're looking at it like that. Is that the way you look at it? How can food, because, you know, if I'm coming, someone sitting and listening skeptical, like, hold on, what the heck is this? It's a new religion, food choices of worship, you know, what is it that, why would you say that?
Yeah. In everything you do, whether you eat or you drink, do it all to the glory of God. And my food choices were not glorifying to God. They were causing me sickness. They were causing me pain. They were causing me addiction. They were causing me stress and, you know, bad skin, hair loss, weight gain, just all of these negative consequences. And when I was upset about something, stressed out about something, tired, happy, anything, I would turn to food as a form of celebration, as a form of comfort, as a form of relief. Just, I was always turning to food as my source of whatever I needed in the moment, and not to God. And so God laid that heavy on my heart over the last couple of years, but really over the last year. You need to glorify me with your choices. And so I don't say that to say that if somebody chooses to eat off plan, that they're not glorifying God or they're sinning. That's not the case. But my personal journey, being so many days 100% on plan, completely detoxed from all of that, on a path of getting healthier and healthier, for me to make a choice to eat something off plan, it would be for a reason of out of control, like felt like I couldn't help it, or I just I would turn to it for comfort. It wouldn't be just because, oh, it looks good. It wouldn't be that for me, because I've been so long on plan.
It's so fascinating.
And there's so many things that look good to you now, the treats that you can make that are on plan and that are yummy. Yeah.
It's so fascinating to me hearing you say your eating choices are a form of worship. I've never heard that before. In all my years of being in this food world, I haven't heard that coming from someone.
It's so similar to positive thinking, Pearl,
Right.
and things like that, because our thoughts can be worshipful or they can be alienating ourselves from God.
Right, and I believe in it. I'm processing it because I'm looking at it like this. If, you know, when I sing, it can be a form of worship, right? It makes me happy. It's quite a joyful thing to do. So rather than not going to eat that, not going to eat that, oh my goodness, can't eat that. When you look at your food as worship, is it almost empowering, freeing, joyful? I get to honor God through my food choices?
Yes, exactly.
Have you found that?
Yes,
because I
very
can
much.
see that.
Very much. It changed the way, even in the midst of my Trim Healthy journey, halfway through, it changed my journey. It changed my why.
It's freaking amazing.
It is. And I just love it. And I'm going to go a little bit weirder here too.
Of course you
When
are.
I get in the gym, I have mirrors in the gym because for form, right? To check form. But I'm not checking myself out. Okay.
Come on.
When I get
no.
no, I'm not. It's for form because I don't want to tweak my back. I've tweaked my back so many times. But when I get in the gym, I blare my worship music, and it's almost, you know how people love to dance before the Lord? I'm not a great dancer, like it's not going to happen. But when I'm in the gym, it's my physical worship. Like I feel like I'm giving my, strength. You know how David danced and he was, to me, it was a very athletic dance that I saw that in my head and my imagination when I read that chapter and how his wife got angry and everything. But it was very, all his strength, all his exuberance. So when I get in the gym, it is my time. I'm like, this is my worship time. And I often say that to myself, when it's a hard move, I'm like, just focus on worship. Like to me, it's my time. I'm giving all my strength. And in my heart, I'm thinking that whatever the results of this are going to show on the outside, the strength that I'm really wanting to grow on the inside with my relationship with God. So I know that sounds weird and wobbly.
It's a similar thing.
Yeah, it really is.
It's
and
interesting.
I think about how movement and exercise is also a form of worship. I'm just,
Didn't
not there
you start
yet.
kind of strength training this year too, though?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of...
I did start strength training. I did really, really well for a while. And I was really amazed. I was doing Cal's
Fit 10. Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, she does it every single week, every night. I was doing really, really well. I had some good momentum down, and I went from I started with 2-pound weights, and I was up to 8, and I was doing well.
That's great.
And then I don't remember, something happened.
Yeah, but you see, this is good to
all
talk
right.
about it because that's what happens when we first start with something, just like even with your eating.
That's
On
totally
again, off
great.
again. Let's
Yeah.
try this out for size. Life happens. It drops by the wayside, but you're going to pick it up again.
Yes.
Of course you are.
No,
It's
I
a
love
journey
that.
for all of
Yes.
us.
Yeah. And I still... I'm not on the I don't have the momentum that I had. I still am exercising and still strength training, but I was at the point where I was doing it 6 days a week, the 10 minutes,
But that's
6
a
days
lot.
a week.
And maybe that was just
Yeah.
where
It
the
might have been.
sustainability was too hard. Maybe for you, it's just 2 days and some walks on some others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're all, if people aren't bent towards that kind of thing, 2 days in the gym with weights and then just some nice, beautiful walking on other days can be just
But
your
if there's one
perfect
thing
little-
that I know about you, though, it will be a breakthrough in your mind and spirit.
It will be.
For it to be a sustainable thing that your spirit gets.
Yes.
And then, hold on, this is a whole new why.
And maybe
Yeah.
there's accountability community that, because
Yeah.
you seem to really that
I
really
do.
moves your
Yeah.
buttons. Yeah.
There was one season in my life where I was very consistent with the gym, and I was strength training 3 to 4 days a week, and I was doing cardio a couple other days, and I
I'm
loved
getting
it.
overwhelmed already.
Well, I loved it. And it was when I was going to a gym just down the road that I live near that had regular classes. And I went to these classes regularly, and I got to see the same people every week. And that motivated me. So there is a gym about a mile down from my house. And the hardest part for me is walking in that front door and being like, what do you have for classes? As extroverted as I am, that is the most intimidating first step. So I just need to do it.
It will happen at the right time too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so since I know that you've got some meat, we call it meat to bring today, and we're going to get to that. So since you shared your story, you got on THM, you were very successful, dropping 60, 70 pounds or something, and then
Amazing.
your story is you obviously went through menopause and you hit a brick wall.
Yes.
And yet, because of what you understood about your choices, you just stayed on plan. You just stayed on plan no matter what.
Yes. Yes.
And then Serene and I talked about, we're partnering with doctors and they're, doing a slow, sure approach to GLP-1. And I remember you messaged me and you're like, Pearl, I think I'm one of these people doing everything, staying on plan, eating all the different ways, tweaking for my season, and my body is stubborn and won't let go. So, so tell us about that piece of your journey before we get to your meat.
It didn't let go, and then it started to hold on to extra, and I gained almost 30 pounds back. That's even with like going dairy free and trying all the little tweaks, and my body was just like, no, we're just gonna pack on pounds.
And so many people think that once they hit menopause, they're like, Trim Healthy Mama doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah.
But it's just the body's different. We have to make different tweaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she tried some of the tweaks.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, different tweaks.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And so I started GLP-1 about, I think it's been, well, I'm on week 23. So I guess that's about 5-6 months.
And you started it publicly.
Yeah, I did. I decided that I was going to share every single injection, every step of the way on social media. And if I knew then what I know now, I still would have done it, but I did not at all expect it to go the way it went, both good and bad. I started taking the injections live. I was absolutely terrified. The very first injection took me about, I swear, 15 minutes to get that needle in. I was just like, and then I didn't even feel it, but I was terrified. But they went through the process with me of learning, like, wash your hands, clean the vial, how to pull the med up, and me messing it up, me dropping the needle and bending it and breaking it. And they've gone through the whole process with me, and I've had so many amazing encouragers along the way. And then I've had some not encouraging.
Well, we know about it because,
comments.
Serena and I have been told that we're basically from the devil for even bringing this. But you've been told it too, because you're why are you shooting up live? And you're a coach who teaches about nutrition.
Yes.
And I've seen the comments and I'm like,
yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. Yep. And I've, I watched my following decline and then grow.
Interesting.
Wow.
So there was a lot of people that were like, I'm out. I'm not following this chick anymore. She's not really about health. How could she do this? Almost a sense of betrayal they felt betrayed. But I also really was like, okay, wait. You've been on this journey with me from day one. You've watched me
take all
lose
the
weight.
boxes.
Yes. You've watched me struggle. You've helped me tweak things. You've watched me spend thousands of dollars on functional medicine and get nowhere. You've watched all of this. I have done everything, and it has not helped. I feel healthier. I still feel good. My skin is better. My inflammation is down somewhat. I'm still healthy. I won't give up Trim Healthy because I know at my absolute core, it wasn't my food choices that were the issue. Trim Healthy was not the issue for me. It was my body. It was almost, I don't know, not really betraying me, but in a way kind of, betraying me is what it felt like. Like, I've done all this work. What is going on? But that's kind of the season in my life. I really think 100% of me feels that God has, I don't want to say God has caused the stall, but God has absolutely used it. He has used it to help women recognize food as a form of worship, recognizing, honoring your body, honoring your God with your choices, whether you're getting to the weight you want to be or not, because it's not about that.
Yeah.
Do I want to lose weight? Heck yes. I would love to lose. I've never, ever been, I don't remember a time in my life where I've ever been looked at myself and thought it was slender or anything. Like, okay, whatever. If I get there, great. I want to get there. But if I don't, I 100% am okay right here, right now, because my choices honor God. All of that being said, I know it's hard on my joints to be overweight. I know it, I want longevity. I want all of those things. I want health. And that's why I chose to go to the GLP-1, because I did a lot of research. I listened to your research, but then I did my own. And the benefits, and I truly believe anybody that says, oh, it's terrible for you, how dare you do something so dangerous, they haven't researched GLP-1s. They haven't at all. The heart protection, and there's just so many benefits. And I feel like a different person on it, even though my weight loss is still very slow.
But it's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm down about 14 pounds so far.
And the slow is a safe way. And so you're purposefully like keeping it, the dose low and slow.
Yep. I've slowly gone up. We've titrated up really, really slow. And now I'm on a higher dose and I feel amazing on it. I mean, I feel the inflammation piece. I knew I had inflammation. My inflammation markers were really high. I don't know what they are now. I've asked my doctor at the end of the year. I want to test them again and see where they are. I can't get over the difference. My skin it's completely different than it was before. The swelling in my hands, my feet, I just feel light. Even without being light, I just feel light. You know, I just...
You know, you said something interesting. You said, I don't ever remember being slender. You know, I just, you know, it's the more Serene I dug into, you know, genetics.
Yeah.
It can play a role for some people. That some people have different SNPs, you know, they're called.
Yeah.
And there's 4 of them. And those people struggle so much more than other people who, you know, almost everyone can put on weight if they make poor choices.
Sure.
But then when they make good choices, many of them lose weight. Some people with certain genetic SNPs, they make good choices and, you know, they may lose weight for a while and then it stops because of their genetic tendencies. And, you know, we can do all the things, and of course you were doing all the things to make it better, but sometimes when you don't release incretin hormones like the next person, it's because you're not releasing incretin hormones, and hormones matter.
I saw that firsthand with my husband. I mean, ticking all the boxes. I mean, Pearl and I, you know, firsthand behind the scenes, doing all these tweaks on him before we even, you know, started some on the woman, like tweaking his diet, trying all different things. And it was such a game changer for him too. I know a lot of people have heard his testimony too. I mean, I never felt like I was betraying the plan though, because when you know you've ticked all the boxes, when you know you've done all of the ladder rungs, you just think it's another step contending for life and health and vibrancy.
But it's not like you just go and eat what you want now, right? You are still contending.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still 100% on plan, and I am still, you know, mixing up my fuels, balancing things well, timing. It's more challenging at times not to stay on plan. It's more challenging. There are moments when it's like, I don't want to eat at 4 hours, but I get some protein just to keep my body moving along.
Different challenges.
It's different challenges, and they're not nothing's been bad. I feel really good on it. And I noticed when I very first started the med, it was harder to eat. I was like, oh, no wonder I'm going to lose weight. I can't eat. That was very short-lived. Now my diet, when I eat a meal, it's more like a balanced plate, even more so than before. Like, I can eat veggies, but I don't have to eat 4 pounds to feel satisfied. Like, I can eat a healthy portion and feel great. The most amazing part is I can be halfway through my meal and say, I've had enough. My body goes, you're good. I've got everything I need, and I can just push the plate back and be like, I'm done. I don't sit there and go, but there's still food on the plate. Because that's what I did before. There's still food there. Should I eat it? Even if I feel sick, I'm like, I need to eat that. I can't leave that. Now, there's so much here with the GLP-1. I feel like my brain is doing what it's supposed to do.
Because those incretin hormones, they signal to the neuro pathways.
Well, it's just like estrogen and testosterone signal to our brains. So does, you know, GLP-1, GIP, PYY, CKK, the incretin hormones that have an impact on our brain. It's very, very powerful.
Because my husband used to be like that too. He would just snack or just... the meal would go on for him, but now he does the same thing. It's just like it's just very sane. Yeah, with food, sane with food.
It used to be I'd be upstairs working, and there's a Lily bar in the cabinet. There's a Lily chocolate bar in there. I should get that. I'm not hungry. I'd literally have this conversation. You're not hungry, KJ. You don't need it. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. No, you don't. And I would struggle to focus on what I was doing because my brain is going, just go get the chocolate bar. And I would go get the chocolate bar at times and eat it and think, I didn't need that. Why did I go get that? It just, if there were leftovers, I was thinking about them all the time. This food noise is a big... word that you hear all the time,
right?
But
it's very real to you.
Yeah, if you don't experience it, I wouldn't even have thought of it as food noise until it stopped, and I was like, wait a minute, where did the background go? Who turned that off?
Noise, you know, now everyone's using it because it became a term. I think everybody has some food noise. It's hunger, and we need it, right? But there is interfering food noise. There is excessive food noise where, like you're saying, it never turns off, never stops.
Yes, it never stopped. I could be full and I would be thinking about dinner. What am I going to make for dinner? Knowing I could wait because I wasn't hungry, but I had to know. Like, I was thinking about dinner. Now, there's times when my husband will go, it's 7:30. Are we going to eat? And I'm like, oh, it's dinner time. Because I'm not constantly thinking about food.
You feel freed up for creativity and other things.
Yes, there's so much just
Do you
peace.
still, you come to a point where sometimes when people first start, they don't enjoy their food as much. Do you enjoy it now?
I do. When I very first started, I kind of went through almost a mourning period because I was like, I don't like food. Is this the rest of my life? I have a friend who's been on a GLP-1 for a year, and she said, it'll be okay. Just get through this. Get to where a dose feels therapeutic for you and it's going to change. And she was absolutely right. Now, when I'm hungry, I think, oh, I'm hungry. I think I'd like to have something to eat. Not, you know, I'm not this almost panicked feeling of I need to eat. I go get food.
Sometimes I heard from a friend yesterday, she messaged me. she's like, Pearl, and you know, she's not even on our KIAORA program. She's just like, she'd done everything, tried everything, and she went to a local provider, and she, you know, in the first few months it was hard. Like, she mourned her coffee. She's a coffee drinker. She's like, I don't like coffee anymore. It's so sad. She was the biggest coffee drinker in the world, and then she messaged me and she's like, oh, I'm just enjoying my food again. I've got to this place. I feel so good. And it was like, I was just so happy for her.
Yeah.
You know, and like, she had the need. You had the need. I don't have the need for an incretin hormone mimetic.
And I think people that haven't been in the struggle personally, it's so easy for them to judge and say, oh, you're portraying, you know, just a holistic, natural, just food or supplement program. You've gone to the dark side.
Yeah.
But we just are so excited to help the people that have been in that kind of an oppression or bondage.
Yeah.
Because it's very real and very, I mean,
I think especially for Christians or people, it can be like, first of all, it's mostly shots, some to use oral, medication, and big pharma. Those three words are like, stay away from me, Satan. Whereas, I mean, Serene, you actually use shots for your estrogen therapy.
Oh, I love my shots. I could do it by a cream, but I just love my shots. It's like straight into the bloodstream. It's fantastic.
We probably lost a few thousand more people. All I'm saying is, you know, not everything is in a herbal capsule that can benefit us.
That's right.
Some of these things do require a doctor's I take my thyroid, it requires a doctor's subscription. There's no
But it's
difference.
a hormone.
Yes.
It's a natural desiccated thyroid.
Yes. But anyway, enough of that. Bring the meat, KJ.
I wanted to talk about labels today because that has been a big, probably in the last 6 months or so, has been something that God's really laid on my heart about the labels that we use to define ourselves and how damaging they are. Fat, ugly, stupid, worthless, hard words, but words that a lot of us say to ourselves in the mirror or just in our head. And even though I have been teaching women about mindset, and I still feel those words when I look in the mirror and I've lost weight, but I will like still look at a roll and say, you know, see, you're still fat. And I know that that's the voice of the devil. I know that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always feel like the devil. It just feels like reality sometimes. And so I've been working personally quite a bit in the last few months to change that way of thinking. And it's come to me through the word. It's just verses that pop out to me now. And I read them differently. I started kind of doing Bible study instead of just reading. I went from reading every day to now I still read every day live for other people, but then I do my own separate digging in of one verse and tearing it apart, kind of verse mapping type stuff, really just digging it apart and understanding what does God have for me in those words? Where is the message for me personally? And my shirt says made free.
I love that shirt.
We have created a bunch of these shirts that say made beautiful, made loved, made wise, made all different things. My friend circle that I'm very, very close with, we all chose a label that we've heard in our lives that has been given to us or that we've given to ourselves or the world has given to us. And we wrote them on t-shirts and took pictures cutting these t-shirts off, and underneath had shirts that really define us.
I love
and
that.
it's been such a it's just been such a powerful thing to find in the pages of the Word the true labels that God has for me. They're not these ugly labels.
You know, it's amazing when you said that you all wore the T-shirts of a name you've given or others have given you, and then literally cut them off one another. You know, I think that's very powerful because, you know, we have baptism, right, where we go under the water and we actually immerse ourselves. God didn't, you know, tell for that to happen because he needed it.
Right.
But it's an actual
knew the power
literal
of it,
visual picture,
right?
an experiential picture of us understanding it, body, mind, and spirit.
Yes.
So I'm sure it's just, you know, something like that. And the quantum world is kind of sizzling.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Powerful.
It is powerful. And my word before was captive. And
Wow.
and nobody gave me that word but me. You know, I owned that word. Like, I am addicted to food. I always say I struggle with food addiction. I've let that go. I am not a food addict. That is not my label. I am free. God has made me free.
Yeah.
I don't own any of those labels
I love
anymore.
that.
It's
I love
so good.
That is just so
So good. So
beautiful.
even if the thoughts of struggle do come, it's not a lie to say I'm not a food addict.
Right.
because it's coming from you from the outside. It's not who you are.
That's
made
right.
You a new creature in Christ, redeemed.
Exactly.
It's just like an outside dart,
Yeah.
but you know, with your shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the world, the devil, the world wants us in a place of submission to our feelings. And my feelings are not always reality.
Yes.
More often than not, my feelings are simply from the world, from culture, from, you know, we talked about the hatred online with the GLP-1, and that's something that I've had to, I think that's been part of this journey, is being called names. When you're public with anything online, you're going to be called horrible names. There's been
That's what we
some
were
really
just talking
horrible
about
names.
the other day.
Yeah.
We're just sick of putting our lives totally out there because maybe we're just sick of having everybody having an opinion about it.
Right.
Thinking
Yeah, right.
that they can say names about it.
Right. It's amazing what people find appropriate to say behind a keyboard. It's really quite.
It is amazing, isn't it?
It really is. It is. And
Did it ever make you doubt your choices?
oh my gosh.
Really?
In the beginning, yes. Both in the beginning of my Trim Healthy journey being public.
Yeah.
And the beginning of the GLP-1, I'm like, well, are they right? Am I doing something wrong? Is this from the devil?
You go soul searching, don't you?
And
You
that's what Pearl
do.
said at the end of our conversation about that.
This
We were
was
like, but
yesterday.
guess what? We're thankful, actually, for all of that in-your-face banter because it made us go soul searching, go researching to the nth degree of whatever subject that they were, you know, like causing us to not necessarily doubt, but to maybe
Accuse.
yeah. And so we'd get to the bottom of subjects where maybe we would have not gone so deep, but we'd go deep to find that true, yes, I'm settled. Yes, I'm grounded on this, no matter what anyone says.
Yes. I get messages like, it's hard to even say, but how can you coach other women to lose weight when you're fat?
Oh my.
And
you
I-
do?
my
You
goodness.
get that?
Oh, yeah, I get that. I get that probably
My
every week.
goodness.
At least once a week, I'll get a message that says, fat pig.
Oh,
Oh, yes. It's brutal. Some
We
of the
ain't got
messages.
nothing, Serene. I thought that we got it bad. We don't get it that bad. We just get told that we're greedy, money hungry, and taking people's money for profit, so they can shoot up. We take their money. We haven't made a dime on it yet.
when we put out our stevia that we're
causing
planning on
abortion.
everyone to have a
Right.
miscarriages.
Yes,
and we're trying
right.
to kill babies and things.
Well,
like
that's
that.
pretty bad. Okay,
Yeah.
but I haven't been. That's
Yeah.
pretty bad. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is so
Yeah, it's been.
sad.
And I've gotten.
That's hurtful.
It is hurtful. And in the beginning, it was very hurtful, especially when I first started being very public online. I was like, I don't know if this online presence is for me. But again, community and the sisterhood that I've developed, these 10 women that I'm really, really close with, they speak truth. They speak life into me. And they're like, one of them always says, her name is Mary, and she always says, let them Let them say what they want to say. It's not reality. It's not your truth. Let
so
them.
good that you have that. Serene and I have another. I don't know what I would do if I was alone and experiencing this culture of social media. I'm not saying we should all feel sorry for ourselves.
Right.
We're in the public, okay? So we have many blessings, yes. But it is tough what people say. But I'm glad you have those 10 women.
Yeah.
Because some days I bet, I don't know if you're like us, we want to quit some days. And we want to never go on social media again and ever show our faces because it's like enough. But do you ever feel that way?
Yes. And this community of women know when I feel that way because we chat a lot on Marco Polo, and I'll kind of disappear for a day and they'll be like, who said what? And they're like, I have my shovel ready. Let's go. We ride at dawn type of a thing. They're like, who said what to you? And I'm like, how do you know? They're like, we know because you kind of revert a little and think, okay, maybe I need to pull back from my online life a little.
You get the wind taken out of your sails.
You do. It feels like a little kick in the gut. And now a lot of those messages I can just be like, yeah, whatever. And especially if they're public comments where other people can see it, usually the cavalry comes in and just attacks the but I usually pass it off or either ignore it or I'll respond and say, does your mama know you talk like that online? Or way to go bashing other women. I just, but most of the time now, if it's somebody saying, I get the how can you coach women when you're fat comment all the time. And now I can just be like, I know I can coach women. I coach a lot of women. So who are you without the profile picture hiding behind your keyboard? I can let it go now. But it took a long time for me to get to that point where I recognized that was their issue, not mine.
Right.
And for
I feel
the
very mama hen-ish right now because you're a trim healthy mama coach and you're like, you're our baby. And then people are being mean to our baby.
I'll just start tagging you in the post.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Then I'm not allowed to be mean to anyone online though. I will be crucified.
But I tried owning those labels for a while, not intentionally. I owned them for a while. Okay, maybe I am fat. Well, I'll still coach women, but I'm fat and I'm always going to be fat. I owned that a lot. And I don't use those words with myself anymore. It's taken me a long time to get there, but I now recognize how much I am loved by my God. Number one has absolutely nothing to do with my pant size. That's not even on his radar. Do I believe he wants me to be healthy and honor him? Yeah. He wants my temple fit for service. Yes, I believe that. But I don't think that he doesn't look at me and say, you're not good enough because you're not shaped like this. He created me. He's the potter. And that verse, I'm very bad with references, but the verse that talks about I am the potter. How would you tell the potter that you're not good enough?
Yes.
That verse hit me upside the head.
Wow.
I'm talking in the mirror that I'm not good enough when God says I am. It's kind of rude.
Yes.
And it's disrespectful to my creator.
Yes, it is.
My body is good. It's good right now. It was made good. He called it good. I don't get to have a different opinion.
Right.
From the creator of the universe. I've kind of developed a healthy, I don't want to say fear, but a healthy respect of his opinion of me. His opinion is very different than what I've carried for all these years. But now I have the same opinion as him. I can look in the mirror and call myself good labels. And I want to help other women recognize their labels. I asked women in my community to give me, I recently held a retreat and I asked them all, give me your negative word. Let's find you a label. Let's find a verse of what God calls you that is completely opposite of that debunks that myth that you're telling yourself and that you're living out. Let's take that word away and let's replace it with something good.
And the enemy hates people. He comes inside everybody's head. We all just have to be vigilant because, he'll come inside the skinny person and say, you got no curves. You
Yeah.
got no arse. You know,
Yeah.
you got nothing. You're just a tall drink of water. You ain't got no shape. You know,
Yeah.
Shady's face.
but I'm just trying to say, you know, and then you have, it's the opposite side that totally feel like they're nothing. They're not good enough. They need to go out and get implants, you know,
Yeah.
wear the huge padded bras.
Yeah.
So the point is that the enemy is going to come in people's heads and just feel like telling them they're not good enough.
Right.
And so that's just, we all have to be vigilant. And fight
Have you,
against it.
has it been a lot of neural training? Like, you know, when we spend many, many years in thought loops, those are our thought loops. When we go to sleep, there's things called gel cells that feed them and water them, and like, so they're ready fresh for tomorrow, and our brains will fire them. You know, the thought loops of you know, I had a lot of fear thought loops, and then I had to slowly train myself out of them to create new neural loops that I had to practice. Has that been your experience, that you've had to kind of, was it instantaneous, like I'm free from this and now I know, or has it been like practicing your new ideas about yourself that God says?
No. Well, yes and no. Really, it came in my daily devotions. It came when I started recognizing the labels that I was using. I think it kind of came when I was hearing other women use these labels against themselves. I was like, wait a minute, don't talk about my friend that way. Like, how are you using that? Don't say that about yourself. And I think, but you just said it about yourself in the mirror.
It was
So,
light bulb stuff.
Wow.
yeah. It slowly came on. And as I was reading the Bible, and a verse would just come up and it would hit me. And it just was a constant reminder. All these different things. God calling my temple holy. God calling me free. Him calling me precious. Calling me honored. Calling me loved. Calling me... And these little verses would just come up and...
Washing you in the word.
Yes. And it just... They kept standing out to me over and over. And it was like a very personalized message to me from God. Like, not an audible, you know, slap in the face, not an audible yell, but this gentle whisper of, you're mine. Your body is good. I love you the way you are. I've created you this way. You're loved. And I've been very, very open in my journey about everything. There's nothing I keep secret, except my husband's face. We don't put that on camera. But I don't keep anything secret. And so as these things hit me, I would share them with people, whether it was on a live video, in a Zoom call, whatever it was. I would just share them with people. And it kept resonating with people. Well, I feel that way. I feel that way. And it's become a very big topic in my coaching. The labels we use, they're like self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yes.
And, you know, a lot of it started with I'm That Girl, reading I'm That Girl. And another book, Breaking Free from Body Shame, that I read just really kind of hit me. You're good. You're good. Just.
I think when you work with women, yeah, like you said, you see what they're saying. I mean, that's what happened to us. We realized the things that we were thinking and saying about ourselves because we were working with hundreds of thousands of women, and that book, I'm That Girl, kind of came from that. But you come to a point where you're helping other women where you realize, hey, you can give them 100-day plans, you can give them menus for 2 weeks, you can do every little tick-the-box practical thing, but if the mind has not renewed...
It's like the whole concept in the Bible about the tree. You know, making the tree good, and then the fruit will be good. Because, you know, when you think who you are in Christ, who you are, made new, redeemed, you know, all of these beautiful new fruits of the Spirit that are just inside of you. You are the mind of Christ and everything. Then, you know, you're like, okay, well, then the fruit just comes from the branches, just so, like, it's more natural. But when you think that you're this problem tree, you know, what comes out is rotten or just...
Yeah.
It's like what comes out, what she said. Now she knows of her good treeness. She's like, well, my meals are just worship. Who would think that? A person who thinks that has had a mind renewed, and it's just so exciting. I think I love that you're doing this, working on the mind and heart, because I mean, you know, obviously you're still a practical coach and help people with their actual meals. You're always making recipes, but recipes
I think the mind is
alone
the
won't do
most
it.
practical of all. I think
Yeah.
getting that is foundation.
Yeah. Most of the clients that come to me, they know the plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have the book.
Yeah.
I can help you if you don't fully understand what an e-meal is, or what a healthy carb is, or a healthy portion size. I can help you. But you have the book. And probably you already know. You already know what to eat. I give menus every week. You already know what you want to eat. You don't have to use it. You can. But, I mean, I give all those helpful things. Where the true coaching happens every time and time again, is when people's hearts are ready for it. When they're ready to lose weight because they recognize their reliance on unhealthy food could be a form of disobedience. If they're constantly turning to food as for their comfort, if they're not relying on God for their peace, they're looking to food for that. That is so often the breaking point, the point where women go, wait a minute, you're right. It can be a form of worship. When they finally make that connection, that's where I see a lot of growth in women. That is where every single client that comes to me, that is where the real need lies. It's with the mindset. It's what they believe about themselves. It's what they've allowed written on their hearts. It's their belief that they're not capable of doing it that brings them back to not doing it.
That's why your coaching's so powerful. You just think of all the great coaches in the sports arenas, right? They've trained those their athletes. They've trained them with all the moves, and I mean, those athletes are in physical tip-top shape. But what do they go in and do before a game or in the halftime? It's all mental.
Yes.
It's all about the mind. It's putting that mind in that space to go out for victory. Has nothing to like. A great coach is all about somebody who can shape that mind to go out there and have that confidence.
Make you believe you're capable of
Yes.
doing what you need to do.
Can I ask you something? So you're obviously a woman of faith, and you're growing in faith, and that has been the biggest part of your story. But do you get clients that come to you that are not of the Christian faith, or are only ones of the Christian faith drawn to you, and then others will go to, or just be alone, or go to another coach or something like that?
I would say the strong majority. I have had some people come in and say, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I thought this was diet coaching. Why are you telling me to get in the Word? I don't even have a Bible. And I usually to that say, let me send you one. What's your address?
Yeah.
I want to get in the Word. I tell people all the time, if you're not a believer, by the time you leave my coaching, you might be. So I hope you're ready, because we're going to talk about it. In the very beginning of my coaching, I kind of left that out because I didn't want to alienate people. I was like, this is about our food. We're not going to talk about spiritual stuff. And I've changed my perception, my idea on that. If you come into my coaching, I'm talking about it. If you don't like it,
well, that's where the truth that set you free come from. How can you coach and not bring your biggest tool?
Yes, we end every Zoom in a word of prayer. I have a client who prays every time. We talk about those things, and I haven't had many people that aren't very receptive to it. I think that my community tends to be in the Christian women area. I do have some that aren't. I had a client who very much was struggling with suicidal thoughts. And she found me through devotions and started reading the Word with us every day. And she became a client, not necessarily because of her health journey. It was a thing for her. She wanted to get healthy, but it wasn't really that brought her. It was the spiritual side of things. And it's really the issue most of the time.
We live in a spiritual battle. I mean, spirituality, it's so real. I mean, I know God is real in my life because of his presence. I mean, I felt him. I've seen his hand on mine and my family's life, but I know he's real too because I see the work of the destruction of the dark side, the very real spiritual darkness out there. I'm like, if this is true, this darkness, there sure has to be light.
Yes.
And I want to be on that team.
I want to be on the light.
Yeah. But and people have tried, and that's why I feel like people need coaching. They've already tried in their own strength.
Yeah.
Why do they need a coach? Because it's like they've come to the end of their rope. They need something
if
bigger.
Not a coach, someone to be accountable with, someone to do things, to pull you up when you're down. I mean,
right.
What about this retreat that you had with women where they said the main label? I'm sure we've all got many labels. Was it powerful in their lives?
Well, first of all, they all said, I thought this was called a joyful life retreat. We have been crying for 2 straight days. There was a lot of tears. There was a lot. It went a lot differently than I expected it to. I knew the topic of labels would be powerful, but I really didn't expect it to be almost a revival for some of them. It was really, really life-changing for a lot of women. I've gotten a lot of messages saying, you've brought me back to a place in my journey where I'm connecting my health with my spiritual journey, and I didn't know I needed that. Like, I didn't know that connection was so missing.
Well, I feel like the church has so alienated spirituality from physical looking after the body. Because, you know, church is the biggest place. It's like, hey, donuts at prayer in the morning, you know, big potluck with, you know, I don't know, just all kinds of cray food. The church has really never really put the two together. It's almost like it's, if you're doing anything practical like that, you're being vain and not spiritual. Yeah. But I love how you've brought it back.
I really believe the devil is in any detail of your life where there's weakness. He's going to take that. He's going to try to get in and break in that way. And our churches are full of diabetics, you know, elderly people struggling with weight, diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. It's a real issue that is completely ignored from the pulpit so often.
Often the pastor themselves.
Yes.
I know. You messaged me. You like, Pearl, we've got to do something in these churches. I'm like, I know. We're trying to work on it. And you're like, well, so am I. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a need.
It is.
It's a deep need, but you're starting where you are, and you know, it will trickle out. I see you. It's amazing to sit here and kind of do updates, because I see you really digging deep and finding really where God can powerfully use you and move you. I mean, you started with your vulnerability and your humor, and you're still the humor there and the vulnerability, but things are kind of getting serious too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
in a deep way, you know.
Very much. Yeah, very much.
Well, some of these things need surgery, you know?
You're right. Yeah. And there's a long recovery period. There's a long time to grow. I think we, myself included, just look at diets as I need to get healthy. I'm going to eat and lose weight. I'm going to eat these foods, lose weight. And when I lose weight, I won't have to think about this anymore. Yeah. And I mean, I thought that way my whole life. If I can just get skinny, then I'm going to eat whatever I want at that point, because I'll have gotten there, and then I'm just going to let it go. It's not like that for me anymore. I have a different mission, and God had made it very clear to me. For years, I searched for His will for my life. I didn't. What am I supposed to be doing? Surely it isn't what I was doing. I think we can be used anywhere, but I didn't feel like I was where I was supposed to be. And then this whole joyful life thing happened, and it happened, I think, because I said yes. I didn't necessarily know what I was saying yes to in the beginning. I had 3 years ago, I can't even wrap my brain around what I'm doing right now and how I'm teaching women and how I'm helping women. And I never saw it coming. And it's only because I said yes in the very beginning to whatever He had for me. And that ended up being very different than what I thought He had for me. Yeah. I'm very overwhelmed by all of it.
I love it. And I just see the power of your calling too. And just knowing firsthand what some of these women are going through and where they are, because you've been there too. And I think there's so much power in that.
Yeah.
You know, with understanding and, you know, it's just like when you have a male doctor deliver your baby and you're like, oh, you've never delivered a baby in your life. How do you know what I'm going through? You know what I mean?
Actually delivered.
But to have somebody help out who has been there, walk through that same food noise, mental caging of names and bondage that way. And it's just, I think there's just so much power to that.
Yeah. And, you know, I would have always related to somebody who was overweight. I now see that it doesn't really matter. I have clients that are underweight and trying to
Yes.
get to a healthy
Yes.
weight. I have clients overweight trying to get to a healthy weight. I have clients at goal weight
Yes.
that just still want to be healthier. Size has absolutely nothing
Yes.
to do with this. And while weight loss is healthy and good for us, it's not the ultimate goal. And it shouldn't be for anyone. It should be getting healthy, yes, but honoring God with your choices
Love
changes the whole journey.
Yes.
It changes the whole journey.
that. I love that.
Well, it's amazing, KJ. Thanks for coming and just sharing all these kind of deep things, which totally inspiring. We're 100%.
Because my brain is going all different directions, because it's so beautiful, because it's inspiring, it's challenging, and it's encouraging for every area. Honoring our God with every thought. Is that a negative thought? Is that a negative loop that I'm just used to having going around in my head?
Right.
But is that honoring to God? Is that worshipful thinking?
Right.
You know,
And if it's not, taking it captive.
Yes.
Taking every thought
But it is
captive.
like your whole coaching thing is joyful life, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting because, you think when you're in the bondage of sugar was your joy, your comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to drive through was your joy,
Yeah,
your
it
comfort.
was. Hot
But-
Pockets.
but,
Those
you know-
were my joy.
And at
Hot
first
pocket.
there was, kind of like, I guess, what do you call it, when you train and you change your habits and no to that and no is quite hard at first.
Mm-hmm.
But now 3 years, well, actually, I don't know. Is it 3 years later than when you decided on that date? 3 years you've been a coach, or is it 3 years since you turned to Trim Healthy and you stayed?
4 years.
4
'cause
years.
It was 2020. Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's completely different, right? I mean, your thoughts and the why you're doing
no
things.
hard
and,
at first, and now no is fun.
Yeah, because it's joy.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a, like, I can
But it's
say
not
no.
much of a challenge now, right? Is it more just fun? Like,
yeah, it's
no.
fun, but I make, like, what I
Yeah.
mean by challenges, I can go anywhere and be on plan.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. Like,
Yeah.
you can't tell me I can't stay on plan. It's kind of that challenge. Like, I will stay on plan no matter what. I've made it this fun challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, my joy is totally found
Yeah.
in health now. And my joy comes deeper than,
I
it
want to
comes
show
from Jesus.
Wilson, Tilson, whatever your wonderful husband's name is. Can you chuck us our bags that you brought us?
Yeah.
For the people that are watching on audio, visual. Thanks, mate.
Hide your face. Don't.
yeah,
No,
we
don't
can
touch
use
it.
it.
I love it.
You said Chuck.
There you go. Woo!
It's the same one.
This is just one. Or-
Oh yeah. So I love it. There's no reason to go off plan. I fantastically
They're
love it.
insulated.
Yes, I'm so excited about this. It's like such a Christmas present for me, and it's got the blender, which is the
My
very
logo,
reason how
yeah.
I keep on plan in my busy life.
Yeah.
It's just chuck everything in the blender. I remember when my 2 sons were in the hospital and our lives were very much up there. For new peeps in the room, I had a son in the trauma ward and one in the critical ward, one on the 10th floor and one on the 8th floor. And there was a whole season where it was just very interesting. But I remember I had a bag like this, but I've lost it. So this is my replacement and I'm so excited. It's so much better too. But I would just chuck it filled with yuck yum smoothies, just quart jars full of stuff that I blended up. And I'm telling you, I just made it through that season and I didn't have to be like shaking low blood sugar and looking at the vending machines and,
And feeling miserable for
thank
days
you for
after.
this.
You're welcome.
Yes, I love it.
I use that phrase all the time with clients, but with myself. There's no reason to go off plan. Just because the food is there that's off plan doesn't mean I have to eat it. If I'm going to a wedding and 90% of the food is on plan and the only thing there is on plan is a grilled piece of chicken, do I have to go off plan or can I choose? Can I choose to not deviate? Is it the end of the world if I have something off plan there? No. But I choose for my journey, not to. Is there a reason for me to go off plan or can I truly stay on plan? I can stay on plan. So what if I just ate chicken? I ain't going to die if I miss out on the mac and cheese that's there. It's not the end of the world. It's mac and cheese.
Yeah.
And I used to look at that like it's mac and cheese. I can't say no to that.
Right.
But I can.
Right.
I have the strength to do that. There is no reason for me to go off plan. I can find something on plan anywhere I go.
I love the different brains, So, this is for your journey because it's your powerful choice. It's your, almost you're shoving in the face of the enemy. Like, this is my strong commitment. And for me, it's just a brain space. Like, how can it be a treat if it's poison?
Right.
So I don't want to go there. And then Pearl is like, I can have a tiramisu on a vacay. It's all great. And she's still on plan the next 3 hours later. So I love.
Yeah, but I'm not coming from eating addiction. I'm not coming from
No, but
blood.
I love how there is all different brain spaces, and it's just beautiful how we can all.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah. I have found for me that staying on plan 100% has been so much easier because a tiramisu for me would trigger kind of an avalanche of things or could potentially trigger that. Or even if it didn't make me eat more off-plan foods, it might make me want them. And that feeling is so, you feel powerless. And I don't like feeling like that. I very much like feeling in control. And I think that 100% on plan, that's probably why that's worked for me. A lot of people say you can't not ever go off plan. What do you mean 100% on plan? You always stay on plan. You can't do that. And yes, I can.
And there's different brains, and it's powerful for you because there's some of these all or nothing brain types. I'm a bit like that. Where Pearl's always just being a little bit more.
Yeah, but it's also different bodies which affect the brain because, you know, KJ has found that she was missing incretin hormones, GLP-1. I don't think as we age, we all lose some, but I'm not in the same place as you. I don't require that. And so I can eat a little bit of sugar every now and then. It's not my daily fare. And it doesn't really affect me, but we have different genetic SNPs. And so when you say that, you're really being serious. No, this derails me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for years, vacation was my downfall.
Yeah.
I could do okay on whatever I was doing at the time, whether it be keto or Trim Healthy or Weight Watchers, because I've done them all.
Yeah.
Whatever I was doing, I might be doing okay, and then we would go for a summer vacation, and I would say to myself, well, it's vacation, I can eat whatever I want, which turned into kind of I will eat anything and everything that I can find. I'm not going to just have a Krispy Kreme. I'm going to have 6. Like, I'm going to eat and I'll be fine. And when I get back, it'll all be good. And it never was good.
Right.
Vacation was always a big.
It's almost like starting back from the beginning.
Yeah. And I never did. That was always the point where I'd go back into weight gain mode every time
I
after
see that
vacations.
with a lot of women. Do you see that with a lot of women who come to you?
Yes.
Too?
Yeah. It's always, it's very often something that triggers it. It's the holidays.
I find that too with training and exercise, and I do believe rest is important and deload weeks and all that. So I feel like sometimes when people are like, okay, I'm going to take a rest from training, it's almost like they need to keep that little schedule and say, I'm going to take a slow walk in that same time, but keep that almost scheduled calendar kind of commitment, because when they take that commitment out of their life, it's almost like it just totally goes.
Yeah.
You know, even with me, I love exercise, but when I have like a time where I'm just going to, I'm going to go off, or even on vacay, I never think I'm going to do nothing. I'm like, okay, you know, in the morning I always do something physical at home. So I'm just going to go walk on the beach. I'm going to take that time I would normally have official training, and I'm going to keep that commitment, keep ticking that box, even if it looks different. It's more restful, but it's still a commitment to movement, because I feel like it's so much harder to come back to commitment when you just let it all go.
It really is. It really is. It's the holidays are a big trigger for a lot of people. They think, well, it's the holidays. I can't not have grandma's whatever casserole and this cake and this cookie. These are all Christmas traditions that I have to have. And I think that was one of my big turning points for me the first year when I had never thought, I'm going to stay on 100% on plan the rest of my life. Like, I wasn't ever thinking that. I was thinking until I lost weight, and then I was going to get a Big Mac and a Hot Pocket and maybe some Doritos. And I got through the holidays that first year. I got through the entire holiday season on plan, and I thought, wait a minute. If I can get through Halloween candy, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, I can stay on plan 100% all the time. If I can get through those, I can get through anything. And so now every year I do with my clients holy, healthy holidays. We go all in for the whole holiday season. We do cooking classes that are on plan. Everything is on plan, all focused on staying on plan 100% through the holidays, because it's a turning point.
And there's yummies you can have. But it's so powerful, and especially for North Americans, because back down under, we didn't have Thanksgiving. We didn't have half of these holidays. No, and so, you know, it was Christmas is in the summer when you're all out exercising. You're at the beach, you're doing all that stuff.
Here it's all about the eating.
All
It is,
cozy,
yeah.
cold,
Yeah.
get inside by the fire and have your hot chocolate and your pie. And do it again and do it again.
Yeah.
I have to go potty. Still
Well,
stay talking.
we're over an hour,
Yeah,
so
but I'm busting.
we'll say goodbye, and
Oh,
then you go to the potty after the
Well,
potty.
I worked out before I came and I drink crazy amounts.
Yeah.
And so
we'll
it's
say
ready.
bye to KJ. We'll
Bye,
catch up
KJ.
next year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.